It's Thursday, August 23rd, 2012. I'm Alex Jones, and this is another special, original edition of INFOWARS Nightly News. Straight ahead.
Tonight, on the INFOWARS Nightly News, Alex charges the front line with three powerful patriots. First, John Whitehead, attorney for decorated Marine Brandon Robb, who was detained in a psychiatric ward, had this to say about Brandon's treatment.
This morning, Brandon called me. He said, "John, I'm freaked out." I said, "What's wrong?" Because he's really usually so relaxed. He said, "A psychiatrist just visited me, and he said, I'm going to brainwash you, and I'm going to force medications on you. I'm coming back."
Also, Steve Pachanik closes the book on the new SEAL Team 6 story. New info warrior, the bionic Dan Badandi, steps into the ring to reveal how he plans to make the globalists tap out. And Texas judge prepares for civil war if Obama's re-elected. All that and more coming up on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
Welcome back to this extended edition tonight. Dr. Steve Pachanik with breaking news is going to be joining us again. The head of the Rutherford Institute with very chilling news dealing with the First Amendment, people being arrested for their speech all over the country. He confirmed in our earlier interview that analysis. We're going to have Dan Badandi here in a moment do the first part of the news, and then I'm going to interview him a bit dealing with assaults on children by the globalists through their government re-education brainwashing camps known as public schools. But first, he's going to cover very exciting news with a county judge. That's basically the city council over the county in Lubbock coming out and saying, hey, world government's taking over. We've got to get ready to resist it. So amazing things are happening right now. And Dan Badandi is going to break down some of the news. Dan, great to have you with us.
Thank you, Alex. Prepare for civil war. Prepare for UN troops marching on our streets, says Judge Tom Head. And of Lubbock County, reactions continue. This is off a CBS article stating that reactions continue after the Texas leader issued a public warning for what he calls a civil war and a possible invasion of UN troops if President Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro, is reelected. Lubbock County Judge Tom Head is convinced that Mr. Obama winning the second term will lead to a revolt by the American people. And he's pushing a tax increase for the district's attorney office and the Lubbock County Sheriff's Department. He says the money is needed to beef up its sources in the case of President Obama wins in November election. Now, in light of the story here, I see this coming. I mean, people are sick of Obama. They're sick of the Obama administration. But unfortunately, all people are not aware of the right-wing, left-wing paradigm. They're going to go for the Mitt Romney, for the great conservative Christian of Paul Ryan. And this is a false pretense of right versus left. And they're beefing up the American patriots. I mean, you see patriot groups rising all over the place. Yeah, you got the Tea Parties, all these activist groups going after, say we need to get rid of Obama. And Judge Head is right. I mean, we are looking at a possible civil war, I really think. And so we think the establishment is going to actually move over and bring in the next puppet, Mitt Romney. And just watch out, folks, because if Obama wins again, I mean, our country's in trouble. But either way, Obama or Romney, we're still in trouble. The New World Order has got its grips on politics, folks. And I'm going to move on to the next article. Department of Homeland Security and the FBI warned that anarchists may use IEDs at conventions. And they're pointing out to the GOP convention coming up. And the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI have issued a bulletin to law enforcement warning that anarchist extremists may use IEDs or improvised explosive devices at the Republican and Democratic national conventions. And we got the FBI and DHS asks to the high-confidence anarchist extremists will target infrastructure in Tampa and Charlotte when potentially significant impacts on public safety and transportation, CNN reports. And again, they're putting the fear of God into people. Watch out for the terrorists. Your terrorists could be living in your backyard, upstairs, next door, wherever. You got to watch out because anybody could be a terrorist. They're going to blow up the malls. They're going to blow up your shopping centers, everything else. But they want to put the scare of terrorism, the boogeyman in the closet, into you people to say, hey, they're going to attack political groups, conventions, I should say, with IEDs. More propaganda? I think so. And I want to move on to the next article, again by CBS News, reporting, absolute prepare to call off GOP convention and Isaac threatens Tampa. And this is issued from the mayor. Mayor Bob Buckhorn told CNN that he is more concerned about the safety of his people than holding the convention. And he quotes, absolutely, we're prepared to call it off. Buckhorn explained to CNN, I mean, human safety and human life trumps politics. But the thing is, you know, folks, we know the government has the technology, you know, HARP and everything else. We know the government has technology to manipulate storms, cause earthquakes, everything else. And anybody knows about geoengineering, they have the power to do so. And could this be a tactic for further agendas? Who knows? But anyway, the mayor is prepared to call off this whole convention. And we're going to move on to next, BBC News. We got a U.S. teen invents advanced cancer tests using Google. And it says a 15-year-old high school student, Jack Andraker, likes to kayak and watch U.S. television and show Glee. And when time permits, he also likes to do advanced research in one of the most respected cancer laboratories in the world. And Jack created a pancreatic cancer test that is 168 times faster and considerably cheaper than gold standard in the field. And again, you know, you got these people, there's a lot of people out there, folks, who come up with these great ideas. I mean, look at Nikola Tesla, for example, and they come up with these great ideas. You know, they come up with, you know, a possible cure for something. Then you get the government, or the elite, I should say, that like to hijack something good and turn it all around. That's why we got experiment on the troops, vaccines and everything else. I mean, it's total, it's disgusting, folks. It really is. And it's another story for another time with that. But I want to move on. Business as usual at the Federal Reserve if Romney is elected. Glenn Hubbard, Romney's economic advisor, told Reuters he would advise the Republican presidential candidate that Bernanke should get, quote unquote, get every consideration and stay at the helm of the private bankster-owned Federal Reserve. And quote, Ben is a model technocrat. He gets paid nothing for kicking around all the time. I think they ought to pat him on the back, Hubbard said of his longtime pal. And he quotes again, I may or may not agree with him, but that's very different from saying I question his motives. I wish politicians would stop doing that. He added, making an indirect reference to Ron Paul, who was questioned Bernanke on the numerous occasions as a member of the House Committee on the Financial Services. Mr. Hubbard is a life member of the Council on Foreign Relations, known as the CFR, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Department of Treasury, and it was a chairman of the Council of Economics Advisor under Bush. So his fondness for the Federal Reserve System is quite understandable. He, in fact, was considered for the position of chairman by the Federal Reserve when Alan Greenspan retired, but his buddy Bernanke ended up with the job. Now, this is the Mitt Romney folks that quoted, I'm too important to go to war with the Vietnam. Now, if you look back to our founding fathers, how many of our founding fathers were war generals that fought in wars, the Revolution, the War of 1812, and so on? And they were great leaders, folks. Military make the great leaders, I believe. I mean, look at General George Washington, the best president we ever had. I mean, he ruled this country with an iron fist. They wanted to make him king, but he said, no, you know, we'll go to an election thing. And that's what a leader is, folks. A leader to say, I'm too important to go to war. You know, right there, that should put a red flag in your head, say, you know what, this guy is a coward. He's a puppet for the New World Order, and we know if he gets in, it's just going to be Obama in a Republican suit. That's all that's going to happen. And we're going to move on. Geriatric patsies sentenced to prison following FBI entrapment. Again, pre-crime, folks, Minority Report. You ever see the movie? If you haven't, I suggest you go watch the movie. It's an old movie. You could rent it anywhere, whatever. You could probably YouTube it, whatever. Minority Report. You'll see what I'm talking about, pre-crime here. And it goes on to say 2 elderly men, and the feds are insisting that they were dangerous terrorists, have been sentenced to what may amount to death sentences. And they didn't do nothing yet. That's the thing. And 2 Georgia men were sentenced Wednesday to 5 years each in prison for trying to get an unregistered explosive and an illegal gun silencer in what prosecutors describe as a plot to attack government targets, reporting from the AP News. One was a 73-year-old Frederick Thomas and another 68-year-old Dan Roberts were sentenced to a maximum of allowing the plea agreement that they reach with the government. In what is now a standard pattern in domestic terror cases, the men were cajoled by the FBI informant who hyped the plot to kill government workers in an apparent effort to win leniency, and 6 sex crime charges against them. Informant Joe Sims had allegedly molested his stepdaughters. And now this is the pattern, folks. I mean, just like the shootings, this is the pattern, what they want you to believe right here. They say, they bring up crimes against people. Okay, oh yeah, they had crimes in the past, whatever, to justify, they're going to hype these people up to do crimes. I mean, look at the shooters there. How quick do they bring up the bad stuff they did or whatever? Just to pacify the people, to say, oh, these people are terrorists. So that guy next door that's a little weird, watch out, because he could be a terrorist too. You know, it's just unbelievable, folks. It really is. And again, this is pre-crime, Minority Report stuff. George Orwellian stuff. I mean, if you can't see that, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. And I want to move on to our last story, and well, actually, it's the beginning of many, about kids. And Alex, I want to get your take in a minute. This is about websites accused of collecting data on children. Now, Alex, what is your take on this?
Dan, give us more on this report and your take on it.
I think it's very disturbing because all of us, I have kids, a lot of people have kids, and kids are a very important issue in a lot of our lives, but this has really touched me. This story and many others I got to report, and some are past stories, but it's very relevant to what we're going to talk about. And one, cops interrogating a family for allowing the kids to play outside. I mean, come on, I know when I was a kid, I was outside all day till the sun went down. And so my mother had to yell out the door to scream and yell, call me in the house. And,
well, someday it'll be, I remember that my grandpa had a mommy and a daddy and wasn't grown in a test tube. It'll be like, arrest him for thought crime.
Absolutely. It's a sin.
There were never parents.
You know, it's a criminal offense to have your kids play outside, folks. And on with the article, it says a family has been harassed by social services for police for a crime of allowing their children to play outside, and another example how this nanny state is running, America. And it was a mother in Virginia. She was interrogated by police 4 times and visited by social services twice after children were spotted playing outside unsupervised.
Oh, how evil. Oh.
God forbid.
Even in rural areas, they're saying, you don't play outside. Get back in there and watch television and drink fluoride water.
Absolutely. Keep pumping the fluoride to the kids. Get your
Which admittedly kills them. Even Harvard admits it. But that's loving. Just don't play outside.
Exactly.
Now at the beach, if control freaks walk over and go, do you have enough sunscreen on your children? And they never have kids. They're like these weird anti-humanoid fake liberals. And I'm like, have you ever shut up and got out of my face? but now they call police if they see your kid with a little bit of, you know, the old copper tone ad of the little girl with the dog pulling her pants down and she's got a sunburn on her back. Oh, take your children away to the government dungeon, yeah.
Let's bust down your door, call CPS, we're going to take your kids. Because, God forbid, you don't let them be indoctrinated by the New World Order. God forbid that. God forbid you don't let them be controlled by the system in our schools today. So let's bang your door down with CPS. Take your kids because you're not pumping fluoride or vaccinations in them.
Even though they're 5 times more likely to abuse your children.